Hey everyone, it's Wednesday afternoon, it's 2:30 p.m. Swedish CET, and you're watching Donny here live from Stockholm, Sweden, with another Wednesday afternoon coffee break. My innovation Fika, my innovation coffee, where I get to meet a cool person, speak about cool subjects, and also sometimes I also showcase some really cool tech. Today I have a very, very special guest for you, but before I introduce the special guest, I will say, Donny Legonis, follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse, whichever platform you want. Make sure to also, which is new as now, subscribe to my newsletter. Every Monday, I send out a newsletter now on email where you get a link to my Monday greeting that I make every Monday morning. You get the coming week's show, reminder for the coming week's Wednesday show. You also get links to the previous week. That is then saved and uploaded to YouTube, and I'll always throw in some of the content that I post, since I do post every day almost on different platforms on entrepreneurship and startups and innovation and inspiration. So sign up for my newsletter. Go to tiny.cc/Donny sign up and sign up today. Enough about me, enough about that. We are now going to talk about something completely different. Now we are going to invite our guest. I'm very, very pleased to introduce our guest today, Ulla-Lisa Thordén, or Ulla-Lisa Thordén. How do you pronounce your name in English?
Well, mostly I'm called Lisa because it's easier. So yeah. That goes as well. Yeah.
Okay. No, Lisa, fine. You will also find, let's see, I can actually put a banner with your name up here so people see who you are. In Swedish, you're called Ulla-Lisa Thordén.
Yes.
Sales coach, speaker, author, queen of sales, 7 books, 35,000 sales calls later, leader of large companies, female entrepreneurship ambassador for the world, and basically you are an embodiment of fantasticness. One of my favorite words, fantasticness. You are that.
Well, tell my husband that. Tell my husband that.
Yes. Okay. We'll record this, and you can cut this part out. Then you can look at this, honey, and then I'm so very, very pleased that you are here today, and I'm really happy that we had so many people also signing up for the event. Over 70 people signed up. Hopefully, most of them will join the call. If nothing else, they can watch it afterwards. We already, and look at this. We already have comments. Ola, looking forward to this event. Donny and Ulla-Lisa. Well, could it be better? No, it could not, Ola. It is the best ever. So we're super happy. Oh, yes. And then, of course, Victoria. And can internet handle this much energy in one place? Well, thank God we're in 2 separate rooms, Victoria. And if you'd been here, it would have completely exploded. So super happy to have people on board. And yes, please, 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 please ask your questions and post your questions in the comments, because I have now got this magic half an hour with Lisa to ask her the secrets. So here goes. Let's jump straight into the deep end. Sharks everywhere. I can't swim. Lisa, sales, 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 sales. Why are we so afraid of sales? Why is it so scary? Why is it so awkward? Why?
Because selling is a profession that was invented as a profession. But it's actually the first job in the world, because nothing happens until you ask for something. And you ask for something when you're a kid, when you're growing up, when you have a partner, when you have a neighbor. You ask for things all the time because you want it, or you want to give a good advice, or you want someone to buy a thing that you've made, or yourself, or whatever. And we are selling all the time. It's human to sell, really. I'm quoting a big one in the field, Daniel Pink. And the thing is that what happens in our mind is that when you put your foot forward and you want something, you are so scared of being rejected that someone will say, "Are you crazy?" or "It's too expensive," or "Who the hell are you?" And we necessarily don't want someone to question us. So we pull back. But we are selling all the time. I mean, can you imagine getting the teenagers home before 11 on a Friday night? You have to be a very good salesperson to do that. But you don't think about it as selling, because what happens in your head is when you mix in a price tag in this whole project. And then you get really scared because you're afraid to be questioned there too. And if you, and you know, after 40 years in this field, I find that most people are very afraid of being questioned or not being chosen as the one. So why would we like to even have the job of selling if we couldn't handle it?
Yeah.
So it's a question of changing your mind and say that if I want something to happen, if I want someone to buy me or us or my idea, I need to put a foot forward and try to find out who am I talking to? What is their mind about? How do they function in their head? And I think that selling is has been for a long time more about the salesperson than the customer. And I want to say that forget about selling, create a good rapport, have a great conversation with someone, be more interested in them. Everything is transparent today. You can find out everything about a person, whether they are technological freaks or nerds or completely wonderful entrepreneurs, or you can find out if they are sports people. And then you can kind of choose which way you want to put the questions forward to make them open up and tell you what their needs are, what they find is a problem. And you can kind of introduce something in the conversation about what you do. But don't start with yourself because it is so boring to other people. But you know what is really sexy and what I would like to give as an advice just for us listening here is that I mean, it's very easy to be chosen if you're more interested in the other person than you are about talking to yourself. So, interest.
But that's like going to a dinner party and meeting somebody and actually showing interest in that other person that you're meeting. I mean, and this comes back to when I've been doing, networking 101, and I'm, not say I'm trying to teach people, but I'm talking about how do you meet people. How do you meet people? And, first lesson number one, you probably will remember your name because you know what your name is. So you don't have to think about that. Spend more time thinking about who you're actually meeting than what you're going to say, because you're just going to say what your name is because people are so focused on their name and what they're going to say. So everything they see is like we used to shake hands. You just saw a flurry of hands sticking out towards you. And then you went, hello, hello, like that.
Very Swedish.
And no focus forward at all. And that's also a bit what you're talking about. And another thing I read that you mentioned, I read a Harvard review about, a huge 30,000 salespeople tested and things like that. And they said the biggest mistake that large corporations have done is that they have called it a position as salesperson. And people apply for a job as a salesperson without having, the empathy and the drive in combination that you need. And the best salespeople are usually not people who, think that, I'm going to be a salesperson. They're likable people who enjoy their product and they are interested in who they're meeting, but they don't think themselves as salespeople.
No, true.
So I think maybe what you're saying is that let's stop calling it sales or a sales position or a salesperson.
Public relations, customer relation officer, because it's really about relations. And people sometimes find that the word relations is also kind of scary because they think it means that it's a private relation. But a relation is really a good talk to someone. It's to have a great conversation. You can have it on a bus. And it was a great moment of that day. And if you're lucky and you're meeting someone, you will choose each other and it will develop something fantastic because you met without pretensions. No one had an agenda. It just started as a wonderful conversation where you clicked. And in my mind today, it means that people meet and make it happen. And the agenda can probably pop up a little later if that's what you need to do in order to get customers to pay your price tag, then you need to address it in a little different way, because it's a process, and it's not the actual talk that is the selling. It's the whole thought about who you are, what you stand for, what your uniqueness is, what your fantasticness is, as you said.
And, yes, that's the word. Yeah. Fantasticness.
Yeah. and be aware of it, you know. And when you meet people, you ooze it.
Yes, but we were talking about we had a discussion. There was a girl on LinkedIn, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name at the moment because right now I'm focused on Lisa, and she posted, I just got called up by a previous customer that wanted to buy from me again. I haven't been in contact with them for many years, but they wanted to buy from me again. They've changed jobs and now they want to buy my product again. And her question was, is this sales or is it, what is it? And of course the answer, I mean, I answered, you answered, we all answered, was like, of course it's sales. I mean, sales isn't a cold call. I will make sure that you buy this or else. It's the relation. It's that you get to trust me over time. And Pernilla Hassel, here you are. You think, yes, it's you. We're talking about you, Pernilla.
Yes, hi, Pernilla.
There you go. And me and Lisa. It's so good to have you here. Because it is all about relationships. And you've done a good job when somebody phones you after 2 years and says, by the way, do you mind if I buy that again? So, sure. I mean, then you've done the whole, that's the thing. Right?
It happens to me all the time because people on LinkedIn, for example, someone writes me and says, hello, I haven't spoken to you for 30 years. What did it turn out to be? And I said, what? And she said, you were pregnant at the time. And I said, well, she has a well-paid job, in a fantastic corporation. So I think I'm fine, And after 30 years, and it's wonderful because we obviously... we found each other then, and then we found each other again. So it's a question, really, of keeping it up and be interested.
Okay, let's get some questions in here. So what, in your experience, what is the hardest? What do people have the hardest time with when we're talking about sales? What's the biggest sort of, the biggest chip? What's it called? Rocks. Oh, well, you know what I mean. What's the biggest?
Yes, I know, and I've heard it all the time, and I hear it all the time. And it's cold calling. It's really to contact someone whom you don't know because you're so scared, and you have this ghost in your head who's terrified of you being not chosen or something. So this scare, this ghost in your head is really the biggest thing. And cold calling, you can turn it into warm calling instead by using your network or write something before, or actually train yourself to have a really warm conversation when you call someone up. And don't ask to make a presentation because they don't give a shit about it. Really not. Excuse my Swedish. But they would like you to be interested in them. So I would say what I'm trying to coach everybody else is to say, call up and say, I'm very curious about your business and about you. So would you share some of your thoughts with me? And perhaps I can share some thoughts with you, and perhaps we find something. And if we don't, at least, we had a good conversation.
Yeah, and then, at least then as well, you have opened the relationship.
Yeah.
And the first meeting, I mean, the first meeting doesn't have to end in a signed paper. No, it's just me saying hi to you. How are you? There's no strings attached. I just want to get to know you, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
if we have a conversation and find something to work on, okay, let it take its time. But when you look at salespeople who are hired to be salespeople, they have a budget and they have someone who's blowing a torch up their back, and they need to deliver. So that's a job where they know what they're into. But all our other selves, I mean, about 98% of the world are a little bit scared of that not being chosen. So,
really good question from Magdalena. Thank you, Magdalena. What would be a natural first baby step for somebody who is scared of selling? As this first,
I would say, think about if you get what you want at home with your partner, your family, or whatever, and say, what do I do then to make them listen to me or do what I want? What do I say? And normally it's a question of preparing who is the other person, how do they work in their head? And then you can propose something to see how it works and how many arguments you need to put up until you get someone to choose to clean out the cellar with you, or cook the dinner on Friday, or go to a movie that they normally wouldn't go to with you. So try out baby steps in your vicinity and think about it. What do I say? What do they answer? And how would I do it if I did it again? And train with someone. Put your best friend in a chair and say, I'm going to train selling this thing to you, a cup or a shoe or whatever, and try to find out, how do I go about it? And I have some lovely stories about how to do that, which I do in my coaching. So we can have a good laugh, and they say, oh, I do it all the time. I do it every day. And I said, yes. So what's the problem? The price tag.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, but you're completely right that when I see this all the time, and so many questions and so little time. With all of these wonderful entrepreneurs that I work with, I see it all the time. They're really, really good at it. They do wonderful, warm people. They're, they're curious, they're interested, and they can talk about their thing in a very enthusiastic way. And then suddenly they have to do sales.
Yes.
And then they either go completely like that, or they turn into this kind of, okay, I'm supposed to be a sales guy, and get the sale, and then suddenly they turn into this sleazy kind of, and I'll throw in the knife set as well if you do this within 5 minutes, blah 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 kind of person. The whole it's just so cool, people, how we turn into somebody else. And then I have a question latching onto that, which also Victoria is into here. You taught me about the arrow, the conclusion towards the end of the sales meeting. Can you share that again here? I have never heard about the arrow, but I wanted to ask you about, okay, so we've had opening, but how do we move from opening to next step?
Well, there are a few arrows, I would say. It's like, how do you feel about what we've been talking about? Are you ready to move forward? Is there a chance that you could say yes today? Or this offer is just for a while because I'm really fully booked, but I would really love to have you as a customer. What can I do to make you feel secure in saying yes to me? Where you kind of use the Zlatan method of kicking the ball into the goal, kick towards the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Kick it, but do it, in a friendly way. You don't need to push. You can just, lift your eyebrows and look as if you were really interested in the answer, because of course you are. And they can say yes, they can say no, they can say I don't know, or I have to think about it. And if they say I have to think about it, you say, well, is there something special I can help you think about? Or what are you thinking about? Or, just move forward a little bit.
Exactly, because at least then you're talking about it. And I love the soccer Zlatan analogy, because you start playing the ball usually from your own goalkeeper, and when the match is going, and then you don't kick once towards a goal and hope it will score. You actually do a lot of passing in between, and it ends up everywhere. But you're still aiming towards the goal, but lots of passing happens in between that. So the analogy makes all the sense in the world. We're getting some really, really good questions. Here's a long one. See if you fit it. How can this is good, because I was going to ask you about sales in pandemic, during pandemic and post-pandemic. How can we develop and harness online relationships here on LinkedIn, especially in times when we cannot meet people face to face, so that we build true, genuine relationships that can lead to future work, not the superficial talk or something more.
Okay.
Saying and anything, working relationships. How can we do that in a in a pandemic world where everything is online? How can we nurture relationships?
Yeah. Well, there are two things. I think that you can move it out from LinkedIn and say, can we talk on the phone or on FaceTime or on Zoom? Because then we can have a coffee together and we can share some thoughts and ideas, because I'm very interested in what you are doing and I hope to learn something from your field. It interests me. Or we can say, do we live in the same city even? Can we have a walk and talk in the park? I can bring a thermos of coffee and you can bring the kanelbullar, the buns, and let's have a talk, a stand-up talk here in the park. Because I think that people are, I'm dying to meet people live. I was so excited this morning when I had to meet wonderful Johan. And I was, like, oh, I'm meeting someone finally live, and we're thriving for it. And the strange thing is, really strange, 2017, I came out with my latest book called Meeting the Customer Eye to Eye, because I felt that people think they are moving their relationships over onto the social media, and I say it's a help, it's a tool, but it's not where it happens. But that book is stone dead now because no one is allowed to meet anybody else. So sometimes you're off the time.
Yeah.
But try to get to talk to someone on the phone even. Let's talk on the phone because it's easier in writing. And, I much prefer someone to call me and say, hello, can we talk? And I say, yes, of course. Or can you call me after 3:00 this afternoon because I'm in the middle of something? And I love to do that. And, in 10 minutes, I have given mini coachings to people because they just needed to have an answer to one question. Of course, I answer it. And we go about our businesses. And we need to do that. We need to do that more. So that's a long answer to a long question. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Because
I have a tip for that as well. I have this. You said it as well, but actually a telephone call. And it sounds strange, but not Zoom or Meet, but an actual telephone call, which I personally feel that a lot of people feel quite safe with. It's something they know. We've been doing that for a long time. And we know how to do that, and we don't have the whole rigmarole of setting up the cameras and sitting down in front of the computer. Telephone call. Don't underestimate the telephone call. And you can also walk and talk. I plan one meeting every day as a walk and talk meeting. I go out and have a walk, especially now it's beautiful weather. Telephone calls. Speak to each other. Move it from LinkedIn into a telephone call. Yes, somebody is telling me to shut up and let Ulla-Lisa talk. Okay, thank you. I'll do that. I promise. I'm sorry about that.
We are so in agreement. We are old folks in this. We have been doing it for a long time.
I'm sorry. I'm just so excited here. We're getting
about telephone calls is that some people say, but do I dare to call? Perhaps I'm disturbing them. And I say, well, if they answer the phone, obviously you're not disturbing them. And if they say you're disturbing me, you say, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't see through the phone that you were occupied. But I'd be happy to call you later. Don't back up. If people answer the phone, they are ready to talk or answer. And we are in a generation that I belong to where we were grown up with the telephone. And you called a house and someone picked up the phone and the one who was home. And when you tell that to small children, they laugh their head off because they have their own phone and they can't understand the concept that we answered the phone that said ring, ring in our house. And so we are prepared to answer and say, who's there? This is fantastic. Someone is calling. So I think we need to introduce that to the younger people, that call up and leave a message or send an SMS. Hello, my name is, and if you see my telephone number on your phone next time, please pick it up because I would like to discuss this and this with you. Send an SMS. Yep. Sometimes they call back and say, this is fun. Who are you? And then you have a great conversation.
Magdalena, that's the most sassy and lovely comment for somebody who says that you disturb them. Thank you, Magdalena, for chipping in and commenting on that. I'm bunching together a couple of questions here. I will bounce it off Paulina's question. She says, how do you in the best way calculate your value you're selling? And that goes with another question we had was, for entrepreneurs, one of their biggest mistakes is, not knowing how to price what they're selling.
Yeah.
What's your comment on that?
Yeah, my comment is that if you're selling yourself, so to say, is that you have to build up a base to stand on, and it's your knowledge. It's what you are willing to focus on and that you love to do, the passion you put into it, and what your customers say about you. And this is a foundation upon which you build your price. And don't talk about hourly payment, because that is so off. I mean, we're not taxi drivers, unless we are taxi drivers. But nothing bad about them. We love them. We need them. But as a consultant or as a knowledgeable person, you should actually say, what is the worth of what I'm giving out? And if you're unsure, ask for a 30% rise with the next customer and see where you end up, because probably you're charging much too little. Normally people do that, and because we are afraid that people will say, oh, you're not worth it. And we're so scared, instead of saying, I'm very proud of my price. This is what I charge, or I charge between this and that, depending on, how it works out between us, or how much effort we need to put into it, or if I have to travel a long time, or solve your problem in a very short way, or something, or very quickly, or something. So they're quite interesting. And if you look on the net, Google me in Swedish, you can find a lot of articles, or on my webpage, articles about getting paid and ways to do it so that you feel comfortable about it. And check with your friends. Ask, how much do you think I'm worth? And I'm telling you, your friends will know more about your worth than you ever thought possible. Ask them, because they know you. They know how quality-minded you are, and experienced.
Yeah. I've got your webpage there, thordén.se. Check out Lisa's LinkedIn page as well. And of course, after this session, keep the comments going and the questions going in this event, because we can continue asking and answering questions in the event as well. So keep the questions going here as well, even after the event, even after we got the live show, live event going, stopped. Ola Ring, let's see. After an initial get-to-know-you meeting where you presented a little about what you do, what material would you recommend to communicate as a follow-up?
Mm-hmm. I would recommend that you, first of all, thank you for a lovely meeting, and then you try to write down what they put up as their future issues, the things that you found out during the meeting that they had problems with, and formulate it in the mail and say, as I understand, you are looking for this, you have problems with, you would be satisfied if this could be solved. And, like, you're actually putting their problems into the mail and say, as I understood it, do you agree? Or have I misunderstood you, or something as a mail? Let us, I will call you back in a couple of weeks so we can continue our conversation. I think that is a fair way of making it as a question instead of, I want to sell you this. Because you have to understand the reality of people until, so that they understand what they can use you for, so to say. And if you don't share the reality check, if you don't have the same reality check, it will just go like this, and they won't buy your offer or your proposition. So, Ola, that is and call me if you want to know more, because, call me, anybody. I would love to speak to someone from the US or, Central America or Thailand.
That's the thing that the thing is, something I learned as well, which was when I was in the US and Silicon Valley, was accessibility. That people are actually accessible. If you reach out to them with a warm call, not a cold call, a warm call, they usually answer back very nicely. You mentioned following up, and if I'm not completely wrong, that's number 6. You have the 7 golden rules, 7 tips, 7 I don't know what do you call them, the 7
keys. keys.
The 7 keys.
Open doors.
The 7 keys. Yes. And I thought we could end with those. We're getting towards the end here. We've actually spent 30 minutes, fantastic minutes, not in the deep end anymore. There's no sharks anymore. I'm standing up. I can swim. It's fantastic. The 7 keys. Let's end off with those. Let's give people the 7 keys. Good
7 keys.
Yes.
The first key is you need to have a goal. You need to have focus and a drive to work towards that goal. The second is that you need to be well prepared for your meetings. Everything is transparent. Find out about the customer. What do they like? What do they do? Have a persona prepared in your head when you're meeting them, and be interested in them. Ask questions. How did you end up here? What's happening? What's your agenda for the future, and so on. So be prepared with questions. The third is that you dare to get new contacts, dare to get out there, dare to talk to people on buses and trains. Well, we're not allowed to do that anyway, but speak to someone in the street, get a contact on LinkedIn, whatever you do, just get into new contacts and be interested, and dare to set the right price. Those are really, so dare. The 4 is that you must have a benefit in your offer. People are not interested at all in an offer. They don't care a shit about your method or process or whatever. Excuse my Swedish. But they do, they are interested in the benefits that they will get if they say yes to your method or process or however you want to present it. That's important. And where am I? 6? 5, 6? 5 or 6. I have to check a little bit so that.
Okay, that's okay.
5, 6. That's when you talk too much. That's when you keep talking when the customer starts looking bored or irritated or completely out of it. Stop talking and turn it around and say, it seems as if you may have some questions. Don't talk someone to death. They'll die. Ask questions. Questions are magical. Communication, every meeting, and just check up. Where are we? How can we move forward? Are we moving forward? What do you need to move forward? How can I help you to move forward? Because people are overwhelmed today, and they don't necessarily contact you back and say, oh, I'm ready to buy. It happens very rarely. We want someone to tell us how to act. I mean, we all do that. And 7, that's never daring to close. We never dared to kick the ball into the goal. And daring to close, that was the title of many books in the 80s when I started selling. I mean, I did my 20 business calls a week that I had to book myself. Been there, done that. And what I learned is that when you have that moment with the customer where you have worked it all up, don't go back home and say, I'll send you an offer, I'll send you a mail with the details. Do it there and say, let's do it. Yep. And it's like having, wonderful dance with someone, and it's the last dance. And close it. You don't say, let's meet next month for a cinema. I mean, know.
Yeah, I know. I love that, and I make the analogy like of a Swedish national hockey football team, soccer team. When they play really, really well all the way up to the goal, and then they start parsing the ball, saying, "No, you shoot, no, you shoot, no, you shoot, no, you shoot," and nobody's shooting. Yeah, and nobody's actually aiming for the freaking goal. They said, "Shoot it to the goal." That's the whole thing. Exactly. So just start that thing again. Yes. So yes, 1, goals, focus, drive. 2, read up on the customer. 3, dare. 4, benefits for the client. 5, stop talking. Always follow up, and then dare to close. The 7 keys to great selling by Ulla-Lisa Thordén. Perfect Thordén. Sorry, perfect. What a fantastic end to this wonderful session. It's 3:05. We've spent 35 minutes here. Okay, Patty Broderick, come to the US and teach some warm selling here. Yes, of course.
I will come anytime, Patty. I love to have you here.
course. And check out the comments. Victoria Leon, our best friend, she's posted lots of links to podcasts with Ulla-Lisa, longer podcasts when you can hear more about selling and sales. Get in touch with Lisa, connect on LinkedIn, check out her homepage, connect with me, sign up for my newsletter, and watch me next week as well. But today, everything is about you, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And lots more in my books. Lots more in my books. So,
of course, we have lots of books to buy as well. Don't forget that. And everybody online, all of the comments, thank you for being a part of our talk. It makes everything worthwhile. It's so much fun having you all here. Have a great day. Go out in the sun, smile warmly to somebody out there, and just make somebody else happy. Just, it's worth it. Okay. Take care.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody.
Bye. Love you all.